welcome to Solution on Wheels. Hello, everyone. We are in Wan Chai right now, right outside of the Golden Bohemia Square. Next to me, I have the honor to talk to the founder of Solution Journalism Network, and some people even call him the father of solution journalism, Mr. David Bornstein.
Thank you.
David is actually just finished his Thanksgiving dinner, jumped on the plane from New York to Hong Kong, and he arrived at 4:45 this morning. And it is now 5:45, so you have been non-stop participating in the annual Social Enterprise Summit in Hong Kong. And welcome to Hong Kong.
Oh,
welcome. It's your second time here, I believe?
This is third time, actually.
Oh, third time already.
Yeah.
And as you know, my team and myself aspire to your solution journalism concept, and we would like to see how to implement that in this part of the world.
Yeah.
But before we go into that, I would like to recommend many people have this book, How to Change the World. It's an updated edition. David wrote that and actually defined what is a good solution journalism story looks like.
Thank you.
On top of this book, I quote from the New York Times, a Bible in the field. All right, so do you consider yourself a prophet for journalism? You see what is going to happen, so you make this book.
Well, the book was a learning experience for me to discover how many people there are around the world who are advancing social change, and as a journalist to realize that my field wasn't doing a very good job at uncovering these stories and explaining them. And I feel like there's a hidden history going on. There's out there in every city, every country, there are quite a lot of stories that are significant about people addressing social problems with very, very powerful ideas and methodologies that society doesn't hear about.
Yep. But you can do many things. I mean, as a journalist, you can do many things. You can continue the path of exposing different problems in the world and ask people to think more about it.
Yeah.
Or you can go through the route which some network station has been doing. For example, CNN Heroes.
Yeah.
Boasting a lot of heroes in the world. They are doing good for the world. But you didn't choose this path nor this path.
Yeah.
You don't praise the heroes. You don't simply expose the problem. You go the third way.
Yeah.
What makes you do that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I feel like writing about the problems and then stopping there is totally unsatisfying for me. My natural curiosity is always to say, okay, now what do we do about it? Does anyone have a good idea? I'm just interested for my own curiosity. So I just assume other people would be interested too. And then it's fine to write a profile of a charismatic person or a great problem solver, but it's not really satisfying either because you can't replicate heroes. But if there's a good idea, if this person is doing a good idea and they've worked on a method for 5 or 10 years and they've figured out something that every school can do or every hospital can do, that's much more powerful as a story.
I see. So we cannot imitate heroes because they have some hero qualities, but we can imitate an idea, copy an idea, or even improve the ideas.
Yeah, that's right, the knowledge. When there's a good methodology out there, how do you make sure that students succeed in school? How do you reduce infections in hospitals? These are not things that require one person to do them all the time. These are models that can be spread widely. And when you begin covering solutions from the point of view of asking the question, what's the idea here? What's the teachable lesson? What's the key insight? Rather than who's the hero of this story, you end up producing a lot more valuable information for society.
Yep.
It also reads like a detective story because you're sort of wondering how's this person going to solve this problem? How, just like Agatha Christie, how is the sleuth going to solve the mystery?
Yep.
You want to know how is the social innovator here going to solve the problem? And so there's a natural curiosity that people have about problem solving that journalists can take advantage of.
Yep. But some journalists asked this question to me when I said solution journalism is a great idea. Would you like to learn more about that? They said journalists does not have the responsibility to find solutions. I mean, it is not our job to solve problems. How do you respond to that?
No, 100%. It's not the journalist's job to solve the problems or to advocate for any solutions. The journalist's job is to report on activity in society and to reflect society back to itself, to cover all of this activity in society that's significant and newsworthy. So if there's a bunch of problems out there in the world and there's a bunch of responses to those problems in the world, if you arbitrarily say, we are going to cover the problems because we think that's newsworthy, but we're going to ignore all the responses to those problems, then you're editorializing.
All right.
You're not even covering society faithfully. You're not being accurate. You're deciding that this is something that's important. These are things we should ignore.
All right. But there's another...
Now, can I just add?
All right, go ahead.
Now, when you report on a response to a problem, you're not saying this is the only response or even this is the best response. You're saying this is a problem, this is a response, this is the results that this solution is producing. So, and by the way, these results have this kind of evidence associated with it. It's very strong evidence, it's weak evidence, it's anecdotal evidence.
All right.
It's 30 years of studies.
Okay.
Once you give that information to people, they're much better informed about what to do about those problems.
Well, last two questions. We are all in a hurry. Everyone from the Social Enterprise Summit is watching our show outside. They are going onto the ferry cruise right now, so say hello.
Hello.
Two more questions, and then we'll go on board the cruise and have dinner. We won't let you starve.
I would
okay.
appreciate that. And a beer, too, I hope.
First question. There's a journalist just asked me this. Journalist over there. He asked me if there's something that does not have a solution. Can we report that? I mean, would solution journalism report a story that may not have solutions?
Well, you report the story as best as you can. If there is something to report on, if there are places that are responding to this problem in a creative way, you report on that. If there's nothing there, then the story is, you can't report on something that's not happening. You can write an opinion piece, but that's a different thing. We're talking about reporting on things that are creative responses to problems that have some sort of evidence associated with the response.
Interesting.
It's nothing new. It's just what journalists should be doing. If we want to cover society faithfully, we want to give people an accurate picture of the world, not a fake picture of the world, we have to cover the whole story. We have to cover the problems and the responses. Both of them are happening.
But one final question. What are the prerequisites for solution journalism to prosper across the world? I mean, what are the prerequisites?
I would say that it really has to become a legitimate, disciplined practice. Right now, when people cover solutions, they often give these fluffy, feel-good stories that are hero worship. That's not hard news. If you do that, first of all, readers don't respond very well to those kinds of stories, and journalists don't feel proud about those kinds of stories. So I would say make it rigorous. Make it as rigorous as your toughest investigative journalism.
All right.
Just as rigorous or more rigorous.
All right.
And secondly, connect with people. Let people know what you're doing. If you're a newspaper and you're saying, normally we just cover the problems, now we're also covering the problems and responses. You as our readers, let us know what you think.
Can I ask one follow-up? I know you're starving as well. But do you think solution journalism can survive in a very divisive society? I mean, or is it the other way around? A divisive society needs solution journalism. Which of the statements are more correct?
I would say a divisive society needs more solutions journalism because it needs to become aware of its own strengths. When a society begins to understand the strengths that are within itself, those strengths are widely scattered across the society. They exist in the two groups that are divided. So one group gets to see strength in another group and vice versa. Once you begin to see the strengths and the resilience in your own society, you begin to feel you begin to feel more of a sense of abundance of creativity. Yep. You see that there are good people around doing intelligent, competent things to solve problems.
Right.
It's harder to dislike everybody else in the other group. So polarization requires a worldview that says there's a whole group of other people in the world that are not in good faith, that are not good faith actors. Solutions journalism reveals that there's creativity and intelligence and caring in many corners of society, and that changes the way people think of the world.
So how do you find this vehicle? Do you think we can do town hall meetings around the world and collect ideas and report on solutions?
Absolutely, but you have to serve dinner too.
All right, okay, so goodbye everyone. Goodbye, and we'll see David very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honored to talk to you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Let's go, everyone.
All right.